Cape Regional, Dr. Kevin McHale, always with us here to give us the lowdown. Penn Orthopedics and Cape Regional Health System, the best of both worlds for a healthier life. For an appointment, call 609-463-CAPE or visit caperegional.com. All right, Doc, back for another week of injuries here. Always seems to be something crazy and different. As long as we've been doing this together, there's always something that kind of pops up that you're like, never saw that before, or, to get a little bit more in-depth, and we got a couple of those this week. How are you, Doc? Welcome back.
I'm doing all right. Always sorry to be talking about the Eagles, but at least they put up a win this time, so that's always good.
Yes, but they're dropping like flies in that secondary, including Avonte Maddox, who we all saw the hit. We saw the way he was carted off the field. And when you see stuff like that, it always brings kind of pause. But it seems that he's okay, considered week to week with a neck sprain that's supposed to keep him out for a couple of weeks. But doing what you do, when you saw that, did you fear that there was something more serious there?
Yeah, when you see a player going off on the spine board like that, you clearly fear for the worst, and you get really concerned. And when they implement those, what we call the emergency action plan, where you're stabilizing, you're concerned about a significant spine or neck injury, and it requires stabilizing the neck and getting them onto that spine board, you know that they're concerned for serious injury. And obviously they don't take off every player that gets a concussion on that stretcher, so they clearly had a significant concern. And your mindset kind of changes from just saying, I hope he's back there next week. I hope he doesn't have a serious life-threatening injury, life-altering injury. So he dodged a huge bullet. Maddox was just the neck strain and the concussion's a big win. You obviously avoided a serious injury like Ryan Shazier had a couple years ago. With that, it's kind of similar to a whiplash injury, like a car accident, where that neck gets jerked to the side and has a significant strain on the paraspinal muscles that help stabilize it. And obviously that kind of impact oftentimes leads to concussion as well. So he'll need some time to allow those muscles to recover with maybe a soft collar for a short period of time, followed by rehab, and he'll have to advance through all the stages of the concussion protocol. But to see two players get carted off like that, you'll like to see the spine board not used at all the entire season, let alone two times in the same game. So honestly, it was really lucky that that's all the injury that he had.
Yeah, I know sometimes that's very, very precautionary, I guess, right? But you hear neck sprain. I mean, I never really heard of a sprained neck before. I mean, it feels like when I wake up in the morning, I slept weird on my pillow. Is that what we're talking about? Is this a little bit more, significant than that?
Well, it's a little more significant than that, but, obviously, he had a little more force going across his head and neck than you. I was sleeping in a pillow, but, when they see the significant injury that he had or the significant pain that he had in his neck, they stabilize it, they take him over to the hospital, and they get all the imaging studies to make sure that there's no unstable injury to the neck. So there's no fracture, no significant ligamentous disruption of the neck that would compromise the stability of the neck, where the cervical spine would actually adjust and cause a compression on the spinal cord, for example. But once they get all those precautionary tests, covered, and all the imaging studies come back negative in the hospital, luckily for him, he was able to fly back with the team, and they ruled all that out. You're still concerned that not only are those muscles strained, but that some of those underlying ligaments kind of got a lot of force going across them. They just need a little time to heal. Obviously, there wasn't a significant disruption. Otherwise, you would need a significant cervical spine surgery to stabilize that. But clearly enough of an injury that they need to be cautious with him and make sure he's back out there at full strength before he plays. All
right, let's stay in the NFC East here. And last week we talked about Barkley and that high ankle sprain and how hard that is. Doc, you saw, 4 to 8 weeks. How is he potentially playing? Like, what would be medically in your mind seeing him out there dancing around, acting like he could potentially play? Like, what does that tell you when you see if a running back came out with a high ankle sprain and then a week later said, I can play? What's going through your head on that?
Well, first of all, you want to give credit to the player, right? I mean, Saquon Barkley is a phenomenal athlete. These guys work incredibly hard to do the rehab, to get themselves into the best position possible to get back out there and play. I would be surprised to see him out this early. High ankle sprains are notorious, so take a little long to recover from and take a long time to get back to 100%. If he was playing earlier than expected, I wouldn't expect him to be at 100% of his normal self, because sometimes you can't cheat just the time that it takes for these injuries to heal. Now, on average, when you take all high ankle sprains, including the more mild ones, on average, the NFL player gets out there in about 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, when you include the mild ones. So it's possible that Saquon Barkley didn't have quite a severe one. That being said, I wouldn't necessarily expect him to be out there this week. It is very early, but sometimes these players prove everyone wrong. You see them out there way faster than you expect, because they really are really significant. I'll put in a ton of training and are great athletes.
All right, last one for you, Doc. We saw it on Monday Night Football, or Sunday Night Football, I should say. We see that injury a lot where the quarterback falls and he breaks his fall, and boom, dislocated shoulder and a slight labrum tear for Mitch Trubisky. Would you anticipate that he's back anytime soon?
Yeah, luckily for him, it was a non-throwing shoulder. So if it was his throwing shoulder, he'd be done for the season. But since it's his non-throwing shoulder, he can just give that some time to heal, and he should be out there in a couple of weeks. When you dislocate your shoulder, that ball shifts out the front of the socket, and oftentimes it takes a little piece of labrum with it. They mentioned he had a slight labral tear, and that's that little cartilage rim that goes around the socket and acts as a bumper to give some stabilization to the shoulder as well as the ligaments that attach there. So when his shoulder dislocated, he had a small tear, which is great for him. If they give that a little time to heal, they'll get him moving pretty quickly and rehabbing. And actually it only takes like 2 to 3 weeks for these players to get back on the field. The real question is going to be, is he going to be able to complete the season? Because there are high redislocation rates once you get back out there. And as long as, as a quarterback, using the fact that it's his non-throwing shoulder, really good chance that it won't redislocate, and he should be able to finish the season, but we'll have to wait and see.
All right, the injury report this week, and Eagles, obviously, we got Deshaun Jackson, who might not play. We know Jernigan's still out a little bit there. It's brought to you by Cape Regional Health System and Dr. Kevin McHale with Penn Orthopedics and Cape Regional, the best of both worlds for a healthier life. For an appointment, call 609-463-CAPE or visit caperegional.com/orthopedics. Doc, enjoy the game. Have a great weekend.
All right, have a great weekend, guys.